Hi, folks. I wanted to be able to add to what I had said in one of the videos about things like protecting yourself and being prepared for different situations. As a chiropractor in a rural area, I deal with a lot of people who, whether they're backyard mechanics, old mechanics for agricultural companies, or we have a myriad of guys who are guys and gals come in, and some of them are heavy duty mechanics. It doesn't really matter, but you understand what I'm talking about when it comes to mechanics. Now, if you're on your own, if you're in a backyard or you're working out in the field, you don't have these special machines which clean parts. And a lot of these fellows, they like to be able to just take a part and clean it. Now, some of them have got in the bad habit of taking WD-40 or brake cleaner or you name it. There's so many different chemicals out there. Varsol to clean the parts. They'll clean them all up, and they don't put on rubber gloves. They don't put on gloves. A lot of the younger guys, they've been taught in school, the ones that work at dealerships, they put the gloves on. You'll see them doing the right thing. A lot of the younger people have been told, don't do that. And there's a lot of different cases for that type of thing. Also fumes, keeping away from fumes. There's things out there. If you see something with this label right here, there's a reason it's on there. And I have a good example of why you want to stay away from bad fumes and why you want to wear a mask. We had a great gunsmith here in this area. Wonderful man, great guy, did wonderful work. And in the process of doing some bluing, it had a special he didn't have a fume hood. He was operating out of a Quonset, and he actually was overcome by those fumes. They hurt him. When I say overcome, he didn't die on the spot, but they contributed to his death. It was a cumulative effect on him. So you have to really be careful with fumes. You have to be careful with the things that you handle. If you're spraying something, you need to be careful and wear the rubber gloves, wear the protection. One of the reasons a lot of people used to use WD-40 is they thought that was good for them. They would spray. In fact, there was the active ingredient in WD-40 years ago was DMSO. And they used that it came out of the lumber industry. It was a chemical. If you sprayed it on your hand, you tasted it like 3 seconds later. That's how active it was. They used it as a penetrating agent, and they use it on horses today. For shin bucks. But the thing of it is this used to be in that formula. So people would find when older guys sprayed it on their hands, they thought, oh yeah, this helps my hands. Well, it probably decreased the inflammation, but anything that was with it probably took into the body. They've changed the formula. Please don't, if you think that WD-40 will do that, it's not the same formula. So please don't do that. I mean, you're not even going to get any positive results at all. So please avoid putting that on. You get all kinds of people thinking that it's still the same, and it's not. So I used to be a battery operator years ago, and I want to tell you a little story. I was taking care of this one battery that was on a bit of a hill, and there was hayfield around it. And the fellow that was teaching me on the run, he said, don't use any spike. Now, spike is a special chemical that it's an industrial chemical that the oil patch, guys in the oil patch, and the railroad uses. Okay, it's a defoliant. Okay, in other words, it kills not just defoliant, but it's a soil sterilizer. It will kill. It's supposed to kill it for up to 5 years. Now, what happened is that this fellow who ran the battery, the oil battery. He got a little aggressive. He thought, I'm sick and tired of these weeds. Shook them all out on there. It rained. He put a heavy dose of this spike on the area of the weeds, and it rained and it rained and it rained, and it washed that into the hayfield around him, and it killed 23 acres for 3 years. The oil company had to pay for that man's lost crop, and then it was prorated after that. But I just wanted to let you know that stuff is not allowed. Spike is not allowed within 2 kilometers of any residential area, any town or village. It's banned in those areas because of what it can do. Now, I'm going to tell you another story. I was called in by another chiropractor to listen to someone's story because it was it was perplexing for him. He didn't know what was going on. Now, in the family, the grandma and grandpa had both died in their early 50s, and the two daughters that took over the little homestead there, they were having some really strange problems. The children were even having some strange health issues, just bizarre things, terrible. And what I ask is, how close are you? Is there a railroad close to you? And it was only 85 yards behind the house. And I said, where's your well? It was halfway between the house. It was out there. Now, what you have to remember is that they've probably been using spikes since the 70s. So if you think 50 years, and if they apply it every 5 years, that means it's got 10 applications of spike and on these weeds around the tracks. And that will get into the water supply. So I told them, take a sample, send it to this university, and a special place called Little Smoky Laboratories. That's a very, very good place, and they'll tell you what's in the water. I never heard any more about it because that was someone else's patients, but I wanted to be able to help them out. Now, one of the things I've noticed recently, and I believe we have a real problem with chemicals in the water. I believe it's coming through that. There's a lot of chemicals out there that mimic estrogen, okay? And that affects men and affects women. But what it'll do is, I believe it has changed men because I think it's reduced the testosterone. I feel we have an epidemic of low testosterone. I have some family members who, almost every one of them, is like they're in their 30s, 40s, and sometimes 20, late 20s, and they have low testosterone. Now, that didn't usually occur until the 50s and 60s, but it's happening earlier and earlier, and I think that's one of the problems. A lot of them are having to take hormone replacement therapy, which is really sad. And something that's linked to strength and sperm count is low testosterone. Okay, now. If you look back, in 1986, I think it was, the average strength, the grip strength for a man was 118 pounds. Now it's only, I think it's 96 pounds, the average for a man. So that's dropped at least 20 pounds strength, almost 20% of their grip strength. Women have come down as well. And the sperm count for a lot of men is down to 50 to 60% of what it should be. And I believe it's because of these chemicals in the water. So there's a good reason to get a water filter. I just wanted to be able to kind of go over this because there is a lot of things to be wary of. And I just want to leave that with you. If you like what we say, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button. And always remember, Santa says, take care.